Good evening, everyone. My name is Emanuela Aguenu. You're welcome to another session of the Introduction to Web Development series, courtesy of blockchainunn. This series is organized by the blockchainunn dev community to give a kind of introduction to web development, especially for the persons who are joining us newly and who will be proceeding for further training on web development. So this is our quota. This is us contributing our own quota to help the new members get up to speed on the basics of web development. In the past weeks, we've gone through Git and GitHub, HTML, and now we are dealing with CSS. And today we're having a revision session on CSS, and we welcome you today. My name is Emanuela Agueno. I am the assistant dev community lead, and I'll be your host for tonight. If you are watching this video later, you're welcome to ensure to go through the recording properly, and if you have any questions, bring it to us in the WhatsApp group chat, and we'll be willing to help you. So we've allowed a few minutes for everyone to get in, and we just have to carry on from here, and others can join us along the way, or you can watch the recording later. So yeah, we'll kick off right now. Without wasting much time, we'll be kicking off. Like I said earlier, this is the revision class. In our previous class, we had Dauda Lawal and Peter Beat, who introduced CSS to us, and from what they told us, we were able to learn quite a bit about CSS. And today we'll be looking at taking it a bit further. So the essence of this revision classes is to kind of cement what you've learned for the week. So this session was supposed to have held last week Friday, but it was moved to today. And we also take into consideration the fact that most of our members are currently writing exams in school, and because of that, our sessions may be a little stretched apart, just to accommodate everybody that has exams to write, so that you're not struggling with the exams and also struggling to keep up with our community activities. We take note of that, and we'll keep everyone accounted for. So you are welcome today, and we'll be dealing with CSS. So this is like an introduction to CSS, but like a revision session. Last week, a week ago, we had a kind of like an overview into what CSS is. And today we want to see practically how these things work. And CSS is one of the basic technologies that powers the web. Without CSS, you will have your web pages looking bland. And if you have done the HTML assignments that we were given on the group chat, you will notice that the HTML. I mean, HTML is like the core of web development. It's the core of the web, but even with your HTML, you see that your web page is looking, it's just there. Like it's just looking bland. There's not much design on it. And when you now compare it to what you see online on other websites, you can see that yours is obviously different, and you might wonder what exactly is why is your own different. So the difference would be due to CSS. So by the time you are done learning CSS, you can style your web pages in such a way that it looks beautiful, just similar to what you have online, what you see online. um so yeah, we'll be getting into CSS. And for today's session will be quite short, so that for people that are joining us live, if you have exams to write, you can just, we don't intend to take too much of your time, so that you can get back to your studies. So today's session will be quite short, and I've designed it in a way that it will it will be more practical, because I believe that the one of the best and quickest ways to learn any concept is practically. So I've gotten um one of the beginner projects on front end mentor. Here at Blockchain UNN, we work with front end mentor a lot, because that's where we get project ideas that we design and build. So because of that, I've gotten the one of the newbie projects from front end mentor. Nothing to stress you too much, basically, but for you to be able to just get a quick grasp of what CSS is in action, and not just talking about it. So I will share my screen right now. Let me quickly pull this up. I will share my screen, and we'll get started right away. Okay. All right. So I'm sharing my screen right now, and because it's just me here, I'll try to keep an eye on the chat box in case there are any questions. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box. I will come back intermittently to look at them and take your questions. So let me quickly pull up my VS Code and show you the project that we have to deal with. So the project that we're going to build is the QR code component from front end mentor, and this is what it looks like. This is what we are expected to build, and we'll be doing that right away. So we have a HTML page provided by front end mentor. So basically, I downloaded this. When you try to download the design pack, the um starter components, this is basically what front end mentor provides to you. It provides the design folder where you can see the designs of what you're expected to build, both desktop views and mobile views. It presents the images that you have to work with, and then it gives you a basic HTML structure. It gives you the readme files and style guide, but you don't have to bother about all of this. So what we're trying to do is just getting you acquainted with CSS, and as time goes on, while we get to work more on this, you will get you'll become used to it. Let me increase the font on my screen so that you can see it better. Okay, I think this is better. So last week, when Peter Bit introduced CSS, Peter Bit and Dauda Lawal, when they spoke to us about CSS, they mentioned that there are different ways to add CSS to your style sheet. Please ignore the whole thing on the screen. It might be a bit scary, but don't bother too much about it. I just left everything the way it is as I downloaded it from front end mentor, so that you can get to have an idea of what it looks like. So since you're just getting started with CSS, you would know that there are three different ways through which you can add CSS to your web style. to your website rather. So like we know that CSS is basically for styling, to give a facelift to your website, to add a structured layout. CSS helps you to get your website looking together. Okay, let me quickly show you something. Let me open this with live server so that you can see what what a simple HTML page looks like. So this is the website that we're supposed to build. Let me open the preview again. Let me open this. Okay. All right. So this is what we're expected to build. This is it. Just take note of the text. You have this: improve your front end skills by building projects. You have this little text here. When you get back to this website, you can see that this is basically what we have here: improve your front end skills by building projects, scan QR code. So this is basically the text. There's not much HTML at least here, Sha. We'll add the HTML, and you'll see that you see what the web page looks like. And then when you add CSS, you see the impact of CSS to the website. So basically, CSS gives your website a facelift. It helps to add structure, not just colors and fonts, but also to add structure to what you're building. So for you to add CSS to your website, there are three different ways you can add your CSS. So you can add CSS by either what we know as inline styling. Inline styling is if you want to add a style to your web page. For instance, let me say that I want to give a style to the body of this web page. So I can come inside the body tag, the opening body tag, and I will do this. I'll write style. So this is basically inline styling. So I have body, I put style attributes, background color, and then for this background, let me just assume that I want to give it a background color of red, and I will save this when I get back to my web page. So this is what inline styling does for you. You can see that it has given my web page a background color of red. So let me take that out. That's basically how inline styling works. So I'm going to delete this. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. So that's basically how inline styling works. That's that. The next type of styling, adding style, is internal styling. So an example of internal styling is what we have here. So this block of code, this was actually presented by from it's part of the entire code I downloaded from Front End Mentor. So, but this is a distance of inline styling. This is what it looks like. So, in the same way, this is basic CSS structure actually. So, but let's see how this is how this plays out. So this is essentially like a code that front end mentor provided. Don't bother too much about it. When we get further into CSS, you see what exactly this piece of code does. So, but let me just show you still inside the style sheet. So when you want to do like an internal styling, you get into your head section. In HTML, you know the basic structure of HTML. You have your HTML elements. After your doc type declaration, you have HTML. Then comes the head, and then the body. So that's the basic structure of HTML. So, but inside the head, you have things like the meta tags, you have link tags, you have title, and then inside the head is also where you add the style tag. If you want to do like an internal styling, you add your style tag inside the head of the head of the HTML document. So let's repeat the same thing that we did for the inline styling. So let's assume I want to add the background color here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take the syntax. So this is the syntax of sorry. You select what you're trying to add a style to. Sorry about that. I'm supposed to select the body. So let's assume I want to give a style to the body. So I do this. Select the element I'm trying to style. Open curly braces, and then I'll give it background color. This time around, let's give it a background color of blue and save it. So once you save, get back to your web page and notice the difference. So this is what we have. The background color has changed. So that is internal styling for you. That is how it works. So you do that inside the head section, inside the head tag. So you open a style elements like so, and then you add all your design, all your style sheets inside here, and that is for your um that is it for internal styling. So the last and the most common one is the external styling, and that is what we're going to be using for this. So, but before we get to using external style, I just want to quickly state that in the in the order of importance, or rather like when you're working with CSS files and styling, it's more advisable to work with external styling. It's more advisable to work with external style than internal or inline style. So when you're working with external style, it gives you more room to like have your style sheet separate, have your HTML page separate. So that way you're not bothering about how to separate your concerns, how to separate styles and have them working. Because you can imagine that if I have to write the entire style sheet for this web page inside here, you can see that it can easily build up. You can easily cause a bulk of too much styles appearing in my HTML page, when I can actually give it a different a different file of its own. Me having everything here will easily bulk up my HTML file and cause a lot of confusion. So it's more advisable to work with external styling than internal or inline. So let's see how external styling works. So to do that, you get into um your folder, the folder you're working with. So this is the folder I'm working with here, QR code components main. So I'll come here. I already have like an index.html in the roots folder, where the root folder that I'm working with, where the index.html is located. I'm going to create a new file, and for this file, I'm going to call it I'm going to call it style.css. So this is going to be my style sheet. So I've created a style sheet over here, and it opens up here for me. So this is where I'm going to be putting all my styling. So I'm going to get back here. Now I want you to notice something. So you already have your style sheet, you have your index.html, but you can do everything you want to do here. You can do any design, any style that you want to give, as long as let me do this. Let me give a background color of blue yet again and save it. So when you come back to your page, your web page, you notice that nothing happens, right? So the reason being that I've not linked my HTML to my CSS. And as long as you do not link it, you have to be very careful of this, because this is a common mistake that new developers make. As long as you don't link your HTML to your CSS, all your styles will never appear on your web page, and then you'll be wondering what code that you put over CSS. What I'm simply going to do is I come here and type link. You can see that VS Code already sections for me. So I'm going to just enter here link this CSS. Sorry, this is the line of code I'm working with. Let me give a bit of space. This is a line of code that I just added. I just added this is style.css. So the href is the what file that it's linking to. So it's linking me to my style.css, which is over here. So simply doing this, um adding this line of code, I can save it and then check back on my web page, and you can see that the style I added has reflected, which is this. I added a background color of blue. Initially, it didn't reflect until I added this link, until I linked it up. This reflects on the web page. So that's basically what's moving forward. We have this basic HTML structure. Uh, recall that we still have this style sheet over here, this uh, internal styling added by front-end mentor. But for now, we're going to leave it here for now. So let's try to do what is. What this what this piece of code does actually, let me just give you a quick background into what it does. What it does is that, first of all, it gives my this is a class selector. We'll get into selectors soon. So this is a class selector. When you see dot anything, dot signifies that this is like a class. So you go into your HTML and you find the element. When I come here, this is targeted in this, rather this text over here. It's applying all these styles to it. So it's giving it a font size of 11 pixels. It's aligning the text to the center, and it has given link is UML like we see the A tag. It's called anchor tag. When you see the anchor tag over here, you can see that the anchor tag is the A is this, it adds this color to the link text that you have over here. So let's quickly take a look at the web page. Recall that I said it adds recall that I said that it adds a font, and so this is what text styling. When you look at the front end mentor, which is the link text, you can see that it has a different color from the rest of the text over here. The rest of the text says black, but this one has like a kind of bluish color. So this is what this piece of code here does, basically. That's just the function of this code. So we'll get right into designing well, okay, there are no questions. There are no questions, so we'll carry on. Sorry, give me a minute. Let me quickly sort out this network issue. All right, let's carry on. So coming back here, let's just quickly try to build this. Let's try to build this card component so that we can have something that looks similar to this. So I'm going to come back to my HTML. So you can see that the way front end mentor gave me the code, there's really not much HTML happening here. It's just like a text, and then where they did kind of more work is on the div, this div, the attribution div. So, but the main code that I'm supposed to be working with, nothing much was done with it. So when I look at this, I'm going to have to structure it in a way that I want it to be. So I'm going to put a div here. I'm going to create a div first of all. Inside my div, I'm going to have, when you look at the first element that is part of the, so why I'm creating a div, when you look at this, you can see that this looks like a box, like a container. So the div I'm creating is the div that will have this white box, the white container. That's the div I'm going to create. So I'm going to give it a div and a class of container. And then, but before I get into classes and everything, you can see that I have this heading that's here. So this heading looks more like it's got, if you remember, we have H1, H2, H3 down to H6. So H1 being the largest and H6 being the least. So from here now, I can look at it and see that okay, this looks more like a H2 element or a H3, but I'm going to use H2 for it. This place scan the QR code and the rest of the text is obviously like a paragraph element. So let's quickly do that. So I'll get back to my HTML. I know that the first one I want to work with H2. So I give it a H2 and copy this text because this is the text that we have there. Copy the text and paste it in my H2 element. So that's it. For the next one, I know that it's a paragraph element. I will do the same thing. Copy this entire text over here and paste it in. All right, so that's that. So I have this down. So about classes, recall that I told you that for this div, I want to make this like a div. The div I created where I added my H2 and paragraph element is this white box over here. So I want that to be like my container element. So I'm going to come here and give it a class of container. So one thing you have to note about CSS and classes and IDs is the fact that first of all, it's more advisable to work with classes than IDs. The reason being that when you work with an ID select, excuse me, when you work with like an ID selector, an ID selector limits you to working with only one particular element. For instance, if the same, just the way I've given this thing a class of container right now, I can also have like another div with still the class of container. I can have another thing that has the class of container. But if I were to work with an ID, let's assume that I give this an ID right now. Even VS Code will warn me that ID is not advisable. So let's let's do this ID. So let me just give this like an ID of container. Save it. Okay, it doesn't bring up that one in anymore. In usually VS Code will warn you that you shouldn't use ID selectors. Okay, it does actually. It's in the CSS file that it will give me that warning. So it will tell you not to use ID selectors. So when you're working with ID selectors, for instance, you know that for you to select an ID is use hash. So I gave it an ID of container. Let me see. Um, okay, it doesn't do that. Anyway, that's beside the point. That's not really something to bother about. So, but the point is that you should rarely use ID selectors. So, if you want to use an ID, just make sure that that is the only element that you want to select with that particular ID that you've given it. You don't want to like work with any other. You don't want to have to select it and select another element, because if that's what you want to do, then you should probably use like a class. So I'm going to give this div a class of container, and I already have my H2, I have my P. So far, let's see what our web page looks like. Open this. Okay, so you can see that the H2 normally as a heading is going to be like emboldened, and then you have your P, and then you have this one still maintains that styling that the attribution class gave it, so it's still like in the center and all of that. So we'll ignore this for now, we'll touch it later, but let's just leave it the way it is. So the next thing that is remaining to be added when you look at this, because on our web page we have the text, we have um the heading and the paragraph text, but what we don't have yet is the image. So remember that the image is still inside this div. Recall that I said that this white part, you can see this white background, is the div that I've given a class of container. So because of that, you can see that this image is also inside that div, but we don't have it yet in ours. So what we're going to do is that we're going to come back to this div with a class of container, and I'm going to just enter. So because the image appears on top of the H2 elements, I'm going to come on top of the H2 element, and I'm going to create an image element, image, and then in the sources, I'm going to write, um, because I'm targeting the images folder, because that's where it is, this folder. The image I want to work with is right over here. This is the image I intend to work with, this one. So I'm going to write images, and then as the source, first of all, I'll select the folder where it is existing, which is the images folder, and then I'm going to put this, and okay, VS Code suggests the two images that are in the images folder for me. So when you take a look at this place over here, you can see that there are two images that exist in the image folder. When you still come over here, as you're typing, VS Code automatically suggests the same thing to you, so that just to make it easier. So I can just click on this, and I already have the image I want over here. I'm going to give this image an alt text of QR code image. Let me just give it that QR code image. So save that. Let's see what we have. So this is it. So this is what we have so far, and you can see it's looking good. So, but this is what I wanted to explain to you before initially. So you can see this is just like a HTML web page. And for those of you that may have done the HTML assignments that we gave last week, some of your assignments that you submit will be coming out in this way. So you have like a basic HTML page. So this web page doesn't look bad. Do you understand? But it doesn't also look like what we were asked to build, and we know that we can make it look like what we want with CSS, using CSS. So we're going to now add CSS now to give it that look that we want, the look and the feel that we want it to have. So my HTML page is I would say 95% ready. I'm going to give my image a class. um it's not actually a must that I give this image a class, because I practically have only one image. So but it's good to have to get into the idea of working with classes, because for instance, you might be working on a web page that you have like 5 or 6 images at once, and you can't go and be selecting all of them one by one. So let's say that I have five images on this website, and I want to select three, and give that particular three I've selected a particular styling. So if I select by the type selector, which is image, it will select everything, and I don't want to select everything. So that is where class comes in. That's where class will help you, the class selector. So it helps you pinpoint the particular ones that you want to work with, and then you go ahead and work with those ones. So for this image, I can actually, for this particular project, I can work with just the type selector. I can get into my CSS and select the image, img. This is what you know as type selector. Just type in the name. Also, this body element is also like a type selector. So I can just put in the style I want for this image over here, and nothing goes wrong. But in a case that I have multiple images, that is why it's good for you to get into the habit of working with classes. So for this image, I'm going to give this a class of QR code. Let me just name it QR code. So yeah, this is the class for this image. All right. So yeah, my HTML is pretty much ready. Let's get into the styling first, and if there's anything again that we will need from the HTML, you can always come back and get it. So looking at this, we have this background color first of all, which is the background color that is given to the entire body element, the entire body of the web page. So, and the background color I have over here is white. It's definitely not white that we're working with. So I'm going to change that. So that background color, based on little research I've done, I've seen that what comes closest is a powder blue. It's not exactly powder blue, because okay, you can see my powder blue is darker. So, but that color is what I have. Okay. Front end mentor actually provides like a style guide for you to work with. So let me see if they have the color here. Okay, they actually have it light gray. I think light gray is the background color. So let's do that, light gray. instead of powder blue. Okay, I'm not so close. Well, there are different color styles. So what I just did is the naming convention. Let's try to use HSL and see if that works. Yes, okay, this is better. So this is it. Um for this design that we're trying to get with, you can see that the text, notice the font family over here. Notice the font family that we're working with. And notice the font family on our web page. You can see that it's different. It's very, very much different. This is serif. This is what we know in Word. If you work mostly with Word, you know that this is Times New Roman. But in design, this is a serif font. And what we have in our design is obviously sans serif. So I'll get into my style guide. Front end mentor provides a font family which they've worked with, and this is outfit. So I'm just going to find this and import it into my design work. Let's get this. Let's get the um yeah, okay. The font sizes that were given to us are 400 and 700. So I select 400, select 700. I'm trying to import this style into my CSS so I can work with it. So basically when I copy this, I'm going to copy this code now, this piece of code right here. I'm going to copy it, and when I paste it inside my style sheet, now I can easily select the font family I want to work with, and it reflects over there. So let's do this. So when you want to import style sheets, fonts rather, when you're importing a font, you bring it to the top of your web of your style sheets. I'm going to paste that font here. So I've imported this particular font now, outfit, and I'm going to save it. Um, Nothing much will happen. If I get back to my web page, you'll see that nothing much has changed. It's still the same serif font that we have. So how do you add a font? You come to, because I'm trying to select everything in the body, I'm going to give the body a font family of outfits. And then the outfit is the name of the font that we're working with. And I'm going to give it what we know as fallback font. So a fallback font is for browsers that may not be able to work, that may not have outfit installed in them. You have a font that you want them to fall back on, and for that, I will go with sans serif. So if you can't find outfit, use sans serif. That's basically what it means. Let me check back on my web page, and you can see that this font has changed now. It's no longer the serif that we have. This is now the outfit font that we're working with. So that's good. I've added that to the body, and we can go ahead to styling the rest of the components. So this is what we're trying to achieve, and for that I'm going to select the container, which is this particular div right here, the div I created with the class of container. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select it and start styling. So I'm going to select container, dot container for classes. If you're working with IDs, you work with hash. If you're working with body with type selectors, element selectors, you just type the name of the element and go there. So for this one, I'm going to give it first of all a background color of white. I'm going to give it a background color of white. I'm going to give it a margin of auto. So basically what margin auto does for you is to push your it pushes your it kind of, when you select a margin. Okay, first of all, what margin is like from our class last week, where our speaker spoke about what is it called? They spoke about the CSS box model. So the CSS box model, you have the padding, you have the margin, and you have the border. So basically, what CSS box model means is that for every HTML element that you have, it exists as a box. So what that means is that for this, for instance, this now, when you have a box like this, your image, your H2 elements, everything basically exists in a box. That's the idea. And let me quickly inspect this so that we can see it more easily. So when you inspect using your developer tools, this is how you find out the about the CSS box model. I'm currently selecting the H2, and for the H2, this is the width of the H2 element. This is the dimension rather. So it has a width of 1503 and it has a height of 30.400. That is the dimensions of the text, and then it has the padding. Okay, the padding is not defined, that's why it's dash. It has border not defined, and then you have the margin. So let's play around with this a little bit. Recall that I'm selecting the H2 element, which is this particular one. So the blue is what you have here. The blue is this the text, and then the orange is the margin. So it has, you can see that it has a margin of 19 up and down, and then this. So let's try to give this a padding and see what happens. So let me give this a padding of 10. So I've given it a padding. Right. So when you take a look at this now, let me select it again. Right. So you can see now that it has added a padding up and down, a padding of text 10 pixels up, 10 pixels down. So basically, this is what box model is. So what brought me here was the talk of margin. So when you give a margin of auto, it's basically, margin is the space between the text and the element, whatever you're working with in your CSS. So margin is the space between it and the rest of the contents around it. That's basically what margin is. Margin is what separates what you have from whatever everything else is around it. As you can see from here, you have the orange lines up and down. So this is the margin, and it separates this text block. It separates it from the image on top. It separates it from the text below it. That's what margin does for you. Padding also. Padding is the space between the elements you have and the margin. But before the margin, there's also like a border element. Let me try to give this a 2 pixels border so that we can see if that plays out. Okay, the border is not applying. 2 pixels. Let's see if I can edit this. Okay, I can't edit the style sheet from here. Anyway, let's not bother about that too much. So basically, the padding is a kind of the space you have between the element itself and the margin. So, but before you get to the margin, there's also like a border that you can add around your element. So the border is basically, if now what padding does for you is, if you have an element with a border, when you add padding, it adds more space to that element. So you can see that this the if you notice the width of this thing before now, so this is what it's like, and then this, and then this is the border, and then this is the margin. So it wasn't this high before, so I added a padding to it, and then it kind of increased it. Let's just take note of the when I remove the padding, so you see what I mean. Right, so let's select this again. So you can see that there's a difference. So it's no longer as high as it was. So padding kind of increases the space, the width of the size of the elements that you're working with. So let's jump back to our VS Code. Um so yeah, I said we were going to give this a margin of auto. So the margin kind of it gives it equal margin on both sides. So when you have a margin of auto around what you're working with, so it's usually used for like the left and the right margin, so that it gives equal margin on the left side and on the right side. So what that does for you is that your element will come and be in the center. So it has equal distance from the left side to the left, from the left side to the left top, the left end of the website, and then it has the same distance from on the right side to the right side of the website. Let's take a look at this image so that you can see what I mean. So you can see now that this is in the center. So why it's in the center is because it has a margin of auto. So basically from here to here, from this right side to the end of the right end of the website, is the same distance you have from here to here. So that's basically what a margin of auto does for you. So I'm going to get back into my CSS, and I'm going to give it a margin for the top and bottom margin. I'm going to give it 2 rem, and then for the left and right, I'm going to give it auto so that it places it in the center for me. And then I'm going to give my the div container. I'm going to give it a width of 30% of the entire web page. Basically, I want it to take up 30% of the web page. Let's see what we have so far. All right. So this is what I have, right? This is what I have here. You can see what my image is looking like. My image is kind of bigger than the div, but we're getting there, right? Let's move on. So I have this. I'm going to come into my image. I'm going to select my image now so that I can reduce it to fit into what I have want it to be. So recall that I gave my image a class of QR code. So I'm going to come in here and select the class QR code. Um, I want to achieve with this image element I'm selecting. I want to get the width to I want the width to fit into what I want it to have. So I'm going to give it a width of 100%. What 100% means is that it should take up 100% of the container. So let it take up 100% of its parent element. And in this case, the parent element of the image is the div container. So let's check back. So you can see now it has taken up 100% of this. So the width is now it's taking up 100% of the width of the parent element, which is the parent container, which is this, the one with the white background, this div with the white background. So let me add a little bit of padding over here so that you can notice kind of like a difference. Let me add the padding to the container. Recall that I said a padding will give you space between the border and the elements that you have inside it. So when I give it a padding of 1 rem, so do you notice the difference now? So the padding has given me some space from the edge of the image to the edge of the parent container. Same thing over here, same thing from the top. So it basically gives me a padding of 1 rem all round. I used the padding of 1 rem. So rem is like a CSS measuring unit. As you work more with CSS, you get used to it more. So it's kind of like a CSS measuring unit. So 1 rem is the same thing as 16 pixels. So if you're familiar with pixels, rem, another one is m. So basically, these are units that you work with, and as we go on and on, we'll learn more about this style units. So basically, this is what we've achieved so far. I'm going to We can see that it's kind of taking shape. It's starting to look like what we have over here, right? It's starting to look like what we want it to look like. So that's cool, right? So the next thing I can notice is that my image has kind of like a border radius. Same thing with my div container. So I'm going to come and add that so that it's all continues to like take shape. So I'm going to come here and give it a border radius. Let's give it a border radius of 8 pixels. I'm going to do the same thing to my image. So this one gives a border radius. Let me save it and show you first of all. So you can see that the body container, the div container now has that border radius over here. My image doesn't have it yet. So I'm going to add the same thing to the image so that it has the same border radius. I'm going to just simply copy it and paste it over here and show you. So now you can see that the image has that border radius of 8 pixels. So, but this 8, I'm not quite comfortable with the 8. It seems it doesn't curve well enough. Let me just make it 10 pixels up for both of them. Let me just make it 10. So give this 10 pixels. 10 pixels. Let's see. Yeah, okay, that's better. That's way better. At least to me. Um, I believe that's better. So this is what we have so far. We are getting very, very close. In fact, we're almost done with what we are supposed to build. When you take a look at this, and let me reduce this. So when you compare this to what we have so far, um, I want to place this to side by side so that you can take a look. All right. So when you look at this and look at this, you can see that we are quite close, getting close to what we have. What we want to do. So the next thing to notice is this: the structure, the placement of this, the text, and this. That's pretty much what we have left to do, and then we are kind of done with what we are building. So let me get this back to big, and yeah. So to get the text to align in the center like this, I'm going to come here. The text files that I have is my h2, sorry, the text elements, not files. So I have my h2 text file and I have my p. So I'm trying to give both of them the same style at once, and one way to do that is to select the two at the same time. How do you select multiple elements in using CSS? First of all, I'm going to make use of the type selector or the element selector. So I'm going to select my h2. I can say h2 and then give it a text. I want to give it a text align of center. So I'm going to say H2 text align center, save it, get back here, see that it has aligned it to the center for me. I'm going to do the same thing for my P element. I'm going to select the paragraph element, also give it text align center, and save it. I can see that it has aligned the P for me. So, but why do this? Why select it multiple times? I'm simply bulking up my CSS. When I can select the two at the same time, I can simply take out this P element. And what I simply have to do is, since it's the same style I'm applying to the two of them, I'll just give this H2 comma P. So basically, I'm selecting the two at the same time, the two elements, and giving them the same style. So when you check back here, you can see that I still have the same thing I intend to have. So nothing much has changed really. Um, I'm going to compare these two. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I have this so far. I'm just going to kind of touch the width of the text. Um, my text is quite, there's a bit of space between it and the edge, the border, while what I have here is closer to the border. So I'm just going to kind of try to manipulate that with the width of the text. I'm just going to give it a width of the width won't be so much, it won't be reduced a lot. So let's go with 80% first of all and see what that does for us. 80%, okay. That's too little. Let's try 90. Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, yeah. That's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want. At least it's not so close to the edge as it was before. So I have it like this: a 90%, 95% does that. I can equally just make it maybe 96, 97%. So basically, CSS also makes you kind of you do this a lot. What do you call it? Trial and error, and also kind of like calculations, trying to get the perfect the design that gives you the pixel perfect look that you're looking for. So my card component, my QR code component is practically complete. There's not much left to do, except I like to also add a bit of design to this uh this um this attribution, block. So free code camp, sorry, not free code camp, front end mentor rather, allows you to do this, basically just to show that you are the one that created this project. So that's why they added that part of the code. So this is the HTML for it. It's a div with a class of attribution, and it says challenge by this. So this is the link. This link takes you to front end mentor, the particular challenge of front end mentor. And then it says coded by this. I'm going to add a break tag. I like to add a break tag over here so that it exists under it. So it's coded by this. So here you edit this your name here and just add your name. I'm going to put my name. I'm going to put under the href. This is like a link. So you can choose any link and add. I'm going to add the link to my Twitter page so that if I share it anywhere and somebody sees it, they can easily find me on Twitter, right? I'm going to add my Twitter profile and save it. So that's it. Let's check back. So you can see how it appears. Challenged by front end mentor, coded by Emanuela. Full stop. So I'm going to modify the style for this. The style used over here. I'm going to try to modify it. So where do I find the style? The style is here. So I'm going to take out the style in the internal style sheet. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to delete this style box. So, like front end mentor said, it says feel free to remove these styles or customize them in your own style sheet. So I'm taking them out of my HTML and I want to customize it inside my CSS style sheet. I'm going to take it out of here, just to clean up my HTML code a little bit, save it, and get into my. Let me quickly check my web page. Okay, so you can see that because I've taken away that style, I took away the styling that it had. The text align leaves it. The color it had initially leaves it. So you can see it's just now at the HTML. The automatic structure of HTML is that every text that you write is left aligned. It's aligned to the left part of the web page, except you specify it center align and then it aligns it to the center. So the style sheet, the styling initially, the attribution styling, it aligns it to the center. But because I took away that style, it's now left aligned. But I'm going to, I cut it. So I'm going to paste it back in the style sheet and you see the style reappear. So I'm just going to come down here and just paste. I have this attribution, enter, kind of get the CSS shape structure rather. Going to do this. All right, so let's see. So what I simply have to do is just save all of this that I've done, and you can see that the style returns back. So let me just save this, get back here. You can see that it's now back to being center aligned. So the 11 pixel is a little bit small. Let's make it 14 pixels. Yeah, it's a bit bigger. Um, it's text align center. I'm comfortable with that. The color, I think I'm comfortable with the color. Yeah, the color of the links. So, but what I'm not quite comfortable with is this underline. So basically, HTML automatically like underlines a link element. It automatically like adds an underline so that when you look at it, you can see that okay, this is a link. Also, the CSS pointer will also let you know it's a link. So when you look at this, you can see this is a kind of a cursor that you can use to edit. But when you get to a link, you hovers over a link with like a finger pointing. So that also tells you that this is a link. So, but I don't like that underline, so I'm just going to take it out. What I will use to remove that underline is text decoration. So remember that this is like a personal choice. You don't necessarily have to do it. I'm going to add text decoration none. What just happened? Yeah, save it. So text decoration none, and it takes away that underline, which I do not like. So I think I'm comfortable with this. One final thing, the color of this. Yeah, I knew that the color was looking different. So the color of the H2 and the P elements. Let me check what we have here. Okay, so it says dark blue. Dark blue, I assume, would be for the H2. Light gray would be for um the paragraph. Okay, Okay, I just realized that the grayish blue should have been the background color, not even the light gray that we used. So this color that we used for the background color is the color for the should have been the color for the paragraph. Let me see. Compare these two. Okay, this is what we have. Let me check this. Let me see. Oh no, no. No, let's maintain what we had initially. This is more, this is closer. Anyway, the color I wanted to add, I want to add the color for the H2. I'm going to come here, copy it, get into my CSS. So I'm going to select the H2 alone this time around. I'm going to select the H2 and give it a color property. Save it. Okay, that's dark blue. It still looks like a little blackish, but that's the dark blue color that we were supposed to work with. The next color should be this for my P tag. For the P is actually gray, but yeah, let's work with that. Oh, let me check grayish blue for the H2. So we are pretty much done with the design. This is just me trying to mess around with the colors and see. Okay, that should be for the P. So I'm going to get this, restore the dark blue color for the H2, and then for the P, I'm going to give it that ash color, the gray color. So I'm going to select my P color. I'm going to give it that ash color, and let's see it play out. All right, so you can see that the color has changed from black to grayish. So far I think we've done all that we need to do. This looks like this. Yes, so I think we're pretty much done with our work, and yeah, that's it. So this is basically this project was kind of intended to give you a beginner's look into CSS, not so much as to stress you, but for you to just get the basic concepts of working with CSS. So that's pretty much it. Save all files, everything, ensure that everything is saved, and we can close up for the day. So guys, thank you very much for coming around for today's session. Let me stop sharing my screen. Um you are welcome you for joining us tonight for this session. This was intended like as a revision session, like I said at the beginning. So this is like a revision session to guide you through the basics of CSS. So thank you very much for coming around. If you have any questions, ensure to drop them in the WhatsApp group chat, and I will attend to you, or whoever is active will attend to you right there. The assignment for this CSS module will be dropped this week, so be on the lookout for that. We'll give more grace, a kind of a longer time period for you to be able to work on the project. This is considering the people that are writing exams, but this is not to give you the this is not to kind of encourage you to slack. No, we're just trying to give room because we understand that you have exams to work with. So we are being considerate. So you have more time to work on the CSS project, but ensure to turn it in as soon as you can. Blockchain wishes you good luck in your exams as you prepare for your exams, as you write. We wish you success. Um, Further updates regarding the frequency of our sessions will be communicated on the group chat, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, thank you very much for coming around. So when you watch the recording, feel free to share with people that you know that may need it. Um, do subscribe to our YouTube channel where you will be watching this live stream. Subscribe to our channel, share, and invite your friends to subscribe to. And you can also invite your friends to join our community. Our community is an active community of developers, and yeah, people that are building in the Web2 space and the Web3 space simultaneously. So join our community, invite your friends, watch and share our videos, like our content, and we'll keep working to provide more of this for you. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming around, and do have a wonderful night rest. Um, yeah, thank you very much.